Welcome back to the Basic Beginners FreeCAD course. In this video we'll learn about attachment and run through an exercise where we attach coplanar text and sketch with different attachment modes. In this exercise we'll create a multi-face dice. If you like what you see and you want to donate to the channel, then you can do so via Ko-Fi or Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/MANG0 or via PayPal at paypal.com/paypalme/Darren B. Eastone. I also run a Patreon where you can get early access and additional content, and that's at patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Links can be found in the channel header, on the About page, or in the descriptions of these videos. So I'm already in the part design, and we've created a new document, and I'm going to add a body and then add the sketch. We'll place it along the XY plane because we're looking down on the object from the top. I'm going to use this sketch geometry, the regular polygon. This allows me to create a number of sides. I'm going to go for 6, and I've got the auto constraints and the auto remove redundant. So I can create a hexagon coincident to the center and come around and lock it, point on object constraint to the vertical axis. Right click to cancel the tool and use the dimension constraint, and the dotted circle around the outside is construction geometry. We can see it's blue. So we constrain construction geometry. And we'll set the construction geometry to 30mm, which constrains the whole sketch. Let's close out, and we have the first cross section. If we examine the side profile of our subject, we see it follows a straight angle. So we can use a pad operation. Think of a line that travels from the base to the top of the subject through the center. We have a simple angle, a straight, and a straight with a taper. Let's apply that to our sketch. So taking the sketch, we'll apply the pad operation and come down and look at the taper angle. Increasing the taper angle increases the top, and decreasing the taper angle and going the other way into negative figures decreases the top. So we can see we're creating one side of the dice. If we come over and use the symmetrical to plane, we pad from the top and the bottom. Therefore we can use the taper to create the shape that we need. I'm going to set the length to 30mm, and the taper, we'll set it to -40 and click off. Now if you get an error, if I bring this say down to -41, you see we have this error here. So we just back this off. If you hit OK, you'll get a different error message, which is a command not done message. Again, just come in and back this off to -40 and then hit OK. We have the main body of the dice. If we look back to the sketch and press the spacebar on the sketch, we can see where the pad has taken from the mid-plane. And if we click on the pad, from the options, we can see the mid-plane is true. Let's just come up, click on the sketch and press the spacebar. We can now start adding the text to the faces. If we're going to use the draft workbench, that's available from the drop-down for the workbenches, and we click on draft. The draft workbench allows for 2D drafting in a 3D space. Although the draft workbench deals with 2D geometry like the sketcher, the process of working on the base planes, such as X, Y plane, differs slightly. Upon entering the draft workbench, you'll see a grid. This grid is currently aligned to your view. This is known as the working plane. Unlike the sketcher, where geometry is attached to a specific plane, the draft workbench aligns to the working plane, which is aligned somewhere in 3D space by the global coordinate system, and we sketch within that alignment. Let's look from the top view. We have to align this plane with our view, and you can see that the grid at the moment is angled. So make sure nothing's selected and come up to Utilities and Select Plane. On the panel on the left, we have the working plane set up. But as you can see, the plane has been set to our current view. We can select the front, which will select the front, and if I click to make sure nothing's selected, click on top, go to utilities and select plane, and click top, we get the top view. Any geometry we create will be aligned to this plane. To create some text, we use the shapestring, shape from text. We'll come out to drafting and click shape from text. If you look to the panel on the left, you can see the X, Y, and Z position. If I move the mouse over the grid, you can see it changes, but notice the Z isn't changing. This is because we're drafting on the top plane and we're drafting in 2D. Let's use the string and place our string in here. I'm going to put the number 0 in here. The height is going to be the height of the text, and we'll set that to 5. The font file, we click on that. We need to go to See Windows Fonts if you're on Windows. From here we select the font, and I'm going to use Home or Bold. We can select it from in here and then hit Open. If I select Reset Point, this will reset the X, Y, and Z position to 0, and I can hit OK. Looks like nothing's happened, but the body is shielding the shape string. You can see that there. Let's zoom in. At the moment, the shape string is behind the body, and we can hide the body and pressing the spacebar. The shape string is placed at the origin point here. If we look to the left, we can see its options. I'm looking for justification. At the moment, it's set to bottom left. Click on that and set this to middle center, and then click off. Any alignment now will be placed at the center point of the text itself. Now I have the text. I can click on the body, press the spacebar to show it, and we utilize the tree view to attach it now. If I click on the shape string and come down to the map mode, you can see it's deactivated at the moment. This means it's not attached. So let's click on the map mode and click on the button on the end. Make sure the button's saying selecting, and then click on one of the faces. If the text is upside down, we can click on flip sides. You notice how it's attached. So it's attached roughly to the middle of that face. Let's click on face again and select, say, this one. So we're mapping flat face to these faces. Let's OK that, and we'll add another shape string. I could copy the current one. I'm going to come up to the S on the toolbar and click it. Again, we reset the point. The font file we have to select again. This is why it's always good to copy it. And we'll pick the Tahoma bold again. Open that, set the size, and this time I'm going to set the string to 1. And if I don't reset the point, let's say I want it over here, I've just clicked in this position here and hit OK, it will be placed here. Remember to change justification of the shape string, and we'll set this to middle center and click off. This time we're going to try a different attachment mode. Select the shape string, the map mode, we'll click on that and the button on the end, and I'm going to use the vertex of this face. So 3 vertices to attach this. To make this easier, I'm going to come up and select this tool here, the selection filter. We drop this down, we have vertex selection. Click that, you see the dot appears. This means as I roll over the faces, they're not selected, but any vertices, I can select them. Let's zoom in, let's pick this here. It's saying selecting, we click that vertex, and we see that the attachment mode has changed to translate origin. Remember, we use the justification of center, So the origin of our text is at the center point. It's saying select in here. Let's pick this vertex now. It's now been placed in the center. And you can see the inertia to free attachment mode has been pre-selected. Zoom out a bit and come up to the top vertex. And we'll select that one. So you now see that this is attached around the center, and we've got plane by 3 points. And we've got the 3 vertices in our reference. And we can hit OK. So we've added the text in 2 different ways. I'm going to come down and hide the grid and come back to the part design workbench. Let's run the part design operations against the text. Come over to the model tab and we'll select the shape string. Notice that the body is in bold, meaning it's active. If it's not in bold, just right click and use active body. Let's pad the 0. Select the shape string and come up to the pad. Now before we do this, notice where the shape string sits. It's not inside the body. So I click pad, we're going to get a message saying the selected object must belong to the active body. Fix this, just close the message, take the shape string and drag it up and into the active body, and the same with the other one. Now your text is part of the active body, and you can select one and use the pad, and we may have to select, say, reverse, depending on what way the text is facing. So this was facing the wrong way. Let's set the length to 0.5 millimeters and hit OK. Let's take the other shape string and do the same. We'll pad that. Notice it's going the right way. If I cancel that and set the shape string on the map mode, come into here and use flip sides, the extrusion direction will be flipped. So if I hit OK now and click on the shape string and use the pad, it's padded inwards towards the object. You can't see that. If I set this to something like 100, it will come out the other side, like so. Let's set this to 0.5 and click reverse. And now we can select OK. So we have the 2 texts in there, though one's ran the wrong way, and what I'm going to do is just come in, take the shape string, map reverse you can see is true, and set that to false. Click on the pad, and the length there is 0.5, and set reversed to false, and click off. So we've got those 2 there. We could have done this with a pocket as well to pocket into the object, but we're using pads for these operations at the moment. Let's see how this differs from a sketch. First of all, let's take something like the top view and have a look to see what we got. When we add a sketch, we select one of the faces and then click Add Sketch. You can see the alignment of this face. The sketch has been placed upon it and the face is at an angle. If I move this, then it can be quite hard to align this with my view. This is where the top button here, the View Sketch, comes into play. Clicking that, it aligns it with our view. Let's add a square in here using the rectangle tool. Come in and place a square around the origin point. Right click to cancel and take these 2 points and the center and make them symmetrical. Then I'll take the top and the side, make those equal, and we can set some length in here. That sets the length against this one using the dimensioning tool. And set that to 5mm. So we have a fully constrained sketch. If I close that, we can see the alignment isn't correct. We can do one of two things here. We can take that sketch and let's bring this around this side and have a look at this straight onto our view. Again, it can be quite hard to place this straight onto our view. But what we can do, select the face, and if we look up, we see this tool, align to selection. If I click that, that aligns our view to that selection. We may have to use the arrows to bring this around to the right orientation. So our sketch sits upon there. We can see that there. And if I look to the left, it's attached. So we've got attachment offset and we've got an angle, which we can change. You can see the angle is changing there. Or if I set that to 0, where it was before, and use the map mode, we can change the map mode. At the moment, it is on face. Click that, and that's let the vertex again, reference 2, and reference 3. And if we look, we can see the square is centered now. If you get this flash, say something like this, just pull it to the side, and this is to do with the lighting. The lighting can be changed as shown in previous videos. Let's hit OK. And I'm going to take that sketch, and this time I'm going to use a pocket. And we'll set the pocket to 0.5mm. So now we've shown how to attach a sketch and text using the different attachment modes. So what happens if we use text without attachment? We position the plane upon, say, one of these faces. Let's come back over to the draft workbench and experiment with that. Come down to the bottom and toggle the grid with this icon here. At the moment, the plane is set to the top. So we're going to select one of the faces. Let's select this one here and come up to utilities and then use select plane. We get the error message down here. So let's try a different plane. Let's select this one. Utilities and then select plane. The plane has moved in line with that face. I'm going to go through the same process of selecting the shapestring, and then we'll place this at the center. You can see we've got some snapping options here, and this is controlled by this icon, the snapping tools. If I click that, this enables the snapping. At the moment it's off if I haven't got grey background. If I click that, then they're on. If I long click, we get the snapping options. You can see I've got the snap center point enabled. What that allows me to do is hover over the center point of this face and click to add the shape string. First of all, let's select the font. Open that and then set the string. We'll set this to X. Hover over the center, click, that sets the position. You can see the position is locked into place, and then hit OK. The X has been added with the origin set to the bottom left, which obviously we can change, and setting the justification to middle center and click off. If I try to move this body by right clicking on the body and using the transform, everything will move except for that X. This is because this hasn't been attached. It's still sitting on that working plane. Let's cancel that. Click on the shape string and hit delete. So we must remember to attach it rather than place it. Also remember that our vertex has been selected in our filter. We must go back and clear the selection filters. Let's click on that. You can finish this exercise as you like. You can pad, pocket the text and sketches, mixing and matching the geometry and text as desired. Just make sure that any text you add is moved into the body container in the tree view, and when performing any part design operations, ensure that the body is active. In this exercise we learn how to taper and extrude symmetrical to plane. We also combined the part design and draft workbench to create text, and gained a deeper understanding of placement and attachment, and use these skills to create a multi-face die. In the next lesson we'll cover non-planar attachment and learn to use those attachment modes to our advantage. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope to see you in the next lesson.
If you like what you see and you want to donate to the channel, then you can do so via Ko-Fi or Coffee at ko-fi.com/MANG0, or via PayPal at paypal.com/paypalme/DarrenBEstone. I also run a Patreon where you can get early access and additional content, and that's at patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Links can be found in the channel header, on the About page, or in the descriptions of these videos. I thank everybody that's donated so far. It really helps to keep the lights on so I can produce more content and also expand the channel. Thank you for liking, commenting and subscribing to these videos, and I hope to see you again in the next one.